Cuffed and desperate, Holden reveals Sienna's real identity as police close in. Nick stunned. Why and ah. The sirens were distant at first, just a low, wailing echo drifting through the foggy streets of Genoa City. But to Holden, they sounded like judgment closing in. His wrists were cuffed behind his back, the cold steel biting into his skin as he sat on the edge of the interrogation table. The room smelled like stale coffee and consequences. He'd told himself 100 times he'd never end up here. Yet here he was, trapped between loyalty and truth, staring down a secret that could tear lives apart. Across the table, Detective Alvarez flipped through a thin file. One last chance, Holden, she said evenly. You cooperate, things might go easier. Holden swallowed. His mind raced, not to himself, but to Nick Newman. To the promise he'd made. To Sienna. The door creaked open. Nick stepped inside. He looked nothing like the calm, controlled titan of Newman Enterprises tonight. His jaw was clenched, eyes burning with questions he hadn't wanted to ask, but couldn't ignore any longer. Leave us, Nick said quietly. Alvarez hesitated, then nodded and stepped out. The door shut with a heavy thud. Silence. Nick stared at Holden's cuffs. I knew something was wrong, he said, voice tight. You kept dodging me, and Sienna, she keeps disappearing at the worst times. Holden laughed bitterly. You have no idea how right you are. Nick pulled out a chair and sat. Start talking. Right now. Holden exhaled slowly. Her name isn't Sienna. Nick's eyes narrowed. What? She's been using that name for years. Fake records. Fake background. I helped her build it. Nick stood abruptly. Why would you? Because the truth would destroy her. And now, it might destroy you too. Nick paced, hands clenched into fists. Who is she? Holden. Holden closed his eyes. For a moment, he saw Sienna's smile, the one that had convinced him they were doing the right thing. That survival justified lies. She's Mara Collins, he said finally. Or she was. She vanished 10 years ago after the fire in Chicago. Nick froze. That's impossible, Nick whispered. Mara Collins died in that fire. That's what everyone thinks, Holden replied. But she didn't. She escaped, with help. Changed her face. Changed her name. And she came to Genoa City for a reason. Nick turned slowly. For me. Holden nodded. The sirens outside grew louder. She blamed you, Holden continued. For what happened to her family. She believes Newman's security cut corners on that warehouse deal. That the fire was preventable. Nick's voice cracked. I didn't even know. She knows, Holden said. Or thinks she does. And everything she's done since meeting you. It's been calculated. Nick staggered back into the chair. Our relationship, the nights, the plans. Real feelings can grow from fake beginnings, Holden said softly. But she never stopped chasing revenge. The door burst open. Sienna's on the move. Detective Alvarez shouted. She's heading toward Newman Ranch. Nick shot to his feet. She's going after my family. Holden stood too, despite the cuffs. She won't hurt them. Not physically. She wants you to suffer. Nick turned, eyes blazing. Then help me stop her. For the first time all night, Holden felt something like relief. I will. The ranch was bathed in flashing red and blue lights when they arrived. Officers swarmed the property. Inside, chaos reigned. Victoria was ushering the kids upstairs. Nicky stood rigid by the fireplace, fear masked by fury. Nick pushed past them. Where is she? A crash echoed from the study. They ran. Sienna stood by the desk, a laptop open, files scattered everywhere. She turned slowly, eyes cold and defiant. You finally know, she said to Nick. Good. Nick stepped forward. Mara, please. She laughed. Don't call me that. That woman died in the fire. You made sure of it. Nick shook his head. I didn't. I swear. Liar. She screamed. Your company signed off on that building. My parents burned alive. Holden stepped between them. Sienna, stop. This won't bring them back. She looked at him, betrayal slicing across her face. You told him. They were closing in, Holden said. I couldn't protect you anymore. Police flooded the room. Sienna backed away, cornered. You think cuffs scare me? She sneered. I've lived in fear my whole life. Nick moved closer, voice breaking. I loved you. Whatever you think I did, if I could change it, I would. Her eyes flickered, just for a second. Then she dropped the flash drive onto the desk. Too late. Officers grabbed her arms, snapping on cuffs. As they led her away, she locked eyes with Nick. This isn't over, she whispered. Truth always burns through lies. Later, as dawn crept over Genoa City, Nick stood alone on the ranch porch. Holden approached quietly. She'll go to prison, Holden said. But what she exposed, the investigation into that warehouse, it's reopening. Nick nodded. Then I'll face it. All of it. He turned to Holden. You did the right thing. Even if it cost you everything. Holden looked down at his hands. Some truths are worth the chains. Nick watched the sun rise, knowing one chapter had ended, but another, far more dangerous one, had just begun. Because in Genoa City, secrets never stay buried. And justice, it always comes knocking, with sirens blazing.